Welcome back to the Old Photo Vault channel. The one at the window. Suburban home, unknown location, late afternoon. It looks like a normal house. Curtains half drawn, a plant by the window. Nothing meant to draw attention. At first, you see only reflections, but then you notice the face, behind the glass. Not outside, inside the room. It isn't smiling. It isn't reacting. It's just there. Watching through a window, it never opens. The reflection doesn't line up. The light doesn't explain it. And no one else appears in the room. Windows are meant to separate inside from outside, private from public, safe from unknown. So ask yourself then, if no one was standing there when the photo was taken, why does it look like someone was waiting? Quietly, patiently, hoping to be seen. The figure behind his shoulder, Rural River, United States, circa 1950s. At first glance, this is still a baptism scene by a quiet river. But this time, do not look at the woman. Do not look at the man on the left. Look only at the man on the right. Just behind his shoulder, where the river meets the tree line, there is a faint human shape. It doesn't belong to the forest. It doesn't follow the direction of light. And it isn't reflected in the water like everything else in the frame. The outline is upright, still, watching. What makes it unsettling is scale and placement. The figure stands at a human height, yet no one nearby reacts to it. The man leans forward, focused on the ritual, unaware that something appears to be standing just inches behind him. Too close to be a coincidence. Old river baptisms were often performed at sites where accidents had already happened. Drownings, sudden disappearances, places remembered quietly. So ask yourself this: if this was only shadow, why does it resemble a person standing still? And why is it positioned exactly where no one should be? Pause the image. Look again behind his shoulder. Do you see someone waiting, or someone who never left? The face in the steam. Apartment bathroom, unknown city, early 2000s. At first, this appears to be an ordinary bathroom. A glass door, tiled walls, cleaning tools leaning in the corner. Nothing out of place. But look closer, especially at the glass panel near the center right. There is a face-like shape forming inside the haze. Not a reflection, not a stain. The features are subtle but deliberate. A darker hollow where an eye should be. A faint suggestion of a nose. And a blurred mouth that looks partially open. It doesn't align with any object in the room. And it doesn't follow the straight lines of light or shadow. What makes this unsettling is how the mist behaves. Steam usually spreads evenly, thinning near edges. Here, it gathers, almost holding a shape. The rest of the glass is relatively clear, yet this area remains dense, as if something is standing close, breathing against it. People who've experienced similar images often say the same thing. The face wasn't there at first. It appeared after they stopped looking. So ask yourself this: if steam fades with time, why does this face seem to wait for attention? Pause the image. Look again at the glass. Is it just moisture? Or someone on the other side, still trying to be seen? The one who leaned in. Restaurant interior, unknown city. Late 2010s. At first glance, this looks like an ordinary couple's photo. Soft lighting, a relaxed smile, a moment captured during a quiet night out. But do not focus on the couple. Look just behind the woman's head, slightly above her shoulder. There is a faint, human-shaped figure forming in the background. Not a reflection, not a light flare. The shape has a head, a suggestion of shoulders, and what looks like a pale face emerging from the darkness. It doesn't match anyone else in the room, and its tone is colder than the warm lights around it. What makes this disturbing is how close it appears. The figure isn't across the room. It's leaning in, close enough to share the frame, Many modern ghost photos don't rely on darkness or abandoned places. They appear during happy moments where no one expects anything to be wrong, especially behind glass, mirrors, or reflective surfaces, places where depth becomes uncertain. So ask yourself this: if this was just smoke or reflection, why does it resemble someone watching, not passing by? Pause the image. Look again behind her head. Do you see a trick of light? Or someone who wanted to be remembered in the photo too? The faces that stayed. Interior wall, Southeast Asia. Unknown year. At first glance, this looks like nothing more than a damaged wall. Peeling paint, water stains, years of humidity slowly eating away at plaster. But then your eyes adjust. Two faces begin to emerge, side by side. Their features are faint but unmistakable. Hollow eyes, rounded cheeks, and the outline of heads tilted slightly toward each other. They aren't random. The shapes feel balanced, almost intentional, as if formed together rather than by chance. What makes this unsettling is the placement. The faces appear at human height, positioned where people would normally stand or sit. They aren't stretched downward like typical water damage. Instead, they remain contained, almost preserved. Residents who photographed similar walls often say the same thing. The stains didn't spread. They didn't change. They simply stayed. Some believe walls absorb more than moisture. They hold memories, arguments, prayers, grief, and moments never spoken aloud. So here's the question for you. If this is only pareidolia, why do the faces seem to be looking at each other? Pause the image, step back. Do you see stains? Or two presences that refuse to fade? The face in the bottle. Forest porch, United States. Early 2010s. At first glance, this looks harmless. Two beer bottles resting on a wooden railing. A quiet forest road. Cigarettes and a lighter left behind after a break. Nothing unusual, but look closely at the left bottle. Inside the dark glass, just above the label, a human face begins to appear. Pale skin, one eye more defined than the other. The outline of a nose and cheek pressed forward, as if something is trapped inside the bottle, watching through the glass. It doesn't match the surroundings. There's no face-shaped reflection behind it. The trees don't line up. The light doesn't explain the features. What makes this unsettling is the expression. The face doesn't look distorted or accidental. It looks calm, aware, almost familiar. Some believe reflective glass can momentarily reveal things the eye misses, especially in quiet places, far from people. Others say bottles, mirrors, and windows act the same way. Thin boundaries that don't always stay closed. So here's the question. If this is only reflection, why does it look like someone inside, not outside? Zoom in, look again. Do you see a trick of light? Or a presence caught where it doesn't belong? The face in the drawer. Old bedroom, unknown house, late 20th century. This looks like an ordinary old bedroom. A wooden dresser. A rotary phone that no longer rings. A lamp that probably hasn't been moved in years. But look at the front of the drawer. There is a face in the wood. Not scratched, not carved, formed. The longer you look, the clearer it becomes. A forehead, a nose, a mouth that almost looks like it's trying to smile. Wood absorbs time. It creaks. It remembers footsteps, voices, hands that open this drawer every day. Some people believe old furniture holds more than dust. They hold the shape of those who stayed too long or never left at all. So here's the question. If this is just coincidence, why does the face look like it's still waiting for the phone to ring? The guests who never left. Victorian living room, United States. Early 1900s. The room is perfectly arranged. Every chair faces inward. The lamps are on, even though no one is home. At first, it feels welcoming. soft light through lace curtains, furniture placed as if a conversation was just paused. But look closer at the chairs. They aren't empty. Faint shapes sit where people should be, their outlines blending into fabric and shadow. Not solid, not moving. As if they've been there too long to remember how to leave. Nothing is disturbed, nothing is broken. The room is waiting, politely. Some houses don't echo with footsteps, they hold them. And some guests don't announce their presence. They simply remain where they were, last comfortable. So ask yourself this: if no one lives here anymore, why does the room still feel so carefully prepared for company? The figure by the fence. Woodland edge, unknown location. Late night. The photo was taken quickly. No flash, no movement, just trees, dry grass, a quiet fence in the background. But look at the center of the image. Between the trees, there is a pale figure standing upright. Not light, not mist. It has shape. It has height. The grass bends around it, but the figure does not bend with the wind. Doesn't blur like smoke. Doesn't reflect like fog. It stands still, as if it was already there before the photo was taken. Some people say it's just shadow and noise. Others notice something else. The shape is facing the camera. So ask yourself this: if this was only a trick of light, why does it look like someone stopped moving the exact moment the shutter clicked? The man who wasn't alone. Frontier cabin, North America. Late 1800s. The man stands proudly in the doorway. A hunter, a survivor. Skins hanging on the walls behind him like trophies of a hard life. At first, this is just a portrait of the frontier, but look behind him. Inside the dark doorway, there is another shape, not an animal, not a shadow from the sun. It has shoulders, it has a head, and it stands too close to be accidental. The figure doesn't touch the ground. It fades where legs should be, and no one in the photograph seems aware of it. Early photographs were unforgiving. They captured what stood still, and sometimes what wasn't meant to be seen. So ask yourself this: if this was only a trick of light, why does the shape stand exactly where a person would? Watching from inside the cabin, because some places remember their owners, and some doors were never meant to be photographed open. The one who didn't pose. Rural town, Europe, early 1930s. It looks like a simple group photo. 4 young people standing close together, arms linked, relaxed and smiling. A moment of friendship, captured on an ordinary day. Nothing feels wrong at first, but look near the lower right side of the image. Just beside the group, there is a blur that doesn't belong to motion. It has weight, it has direction, and it doesn't match the stance or movement of anyone else in the photograph. Old cameras required people to stand still. Anyone who moved too late or arrived too early often left behind something unfinished. These photos were taken by real people in real towns with lives that continued long after the shutter closed. Some of them went to war. Some never returned. Some were forgotten. So here's the question: was this blur someone who stepped out of the frame too slowly? Or someone who was never meant to be remembered at all? Because the saddest ghosts aren't the ones we fear. They're the ones who were almost part of the picture, but never truly seen. The man behind the lamp. Old family house, unknown location. Mid-20th century. At first, this hallway feels warm. Carpeted stairs, carefully placed chairs. A lamp left on, as if someone just stepped away. Nothing feels wrong. But look behind the lamp, just behind it. There is the outline of a man wearing a suit, not reflected, not framed. Standing exactly where a person would pause in a hallway, half hidden, half revealed. The lamp blocks his face, but his shoulders are clear. His posture is patient, formal. Old houses were built to be lived in slowly. People stood in hallways to wait, to listen, to decide where to go next. Some never finished that walk. So here's the question: if this hallway is empty, Why does it look like someone dressed carefully, stood quietly, and never moved again? The one who was almost there. Family living room, United States. Late 1960s. It looks like a normal family photo. 4 women sitting close together on a couch. Relaxed, smiling, comfortable with one another. Nothing feels strange at first. But look at the space between them, right there, in the middle. There is another shape, not fully formed, not fully gone. A faint figure sitting where someone should be, with legs, with posture, as if they were meant to be part of the picture. No one reacts to it. No one makes space. No one seems to notice. Old photographs sometimes captured more than faces. They caught moments when someone arrived too late or stayed too long. So ask yourself this: was this just a flaw in the film? Or someone who belonged with them once and was still trying to sit down one last time? The one who joined the dance. Wedding reception, unknown location, early 2000s. It looks like a happy moment. Music playing, a couple dancing, smiling, lost in the night. Everything feels warm, alive. But look to the right side of the image, near the floor, where the light gathers. There's another figure, not part of the crowd, not caught mid-step. It rises from the floor, shaped like a person, as if someone is dancing without a body. The light doesn't pass through it the way it should, and no one on the dance floor reacts. Some moments are so full of emotion that they don't belong only to the living. So ask yourself this: if this was just a trick of light, why does it look like someone waited for the music and finally decided to join the dance one last time? The one who came back to watch. Living room, Europe. Late 1980s. It looks like an ordinary evening. An elderly woman folding clothes, the television on. A quiet home at rest. Nothing feels staged. Nothing feels unusual. But look beside her, near the cabinet, where the light fades. There is a figure standing there, not reflected in the glass, not sitting, not moving. It has a face, it has shoulders, and it looks toward her as if it knows her. The woman doesn't react. She keeps folding, as though this presence has always been part of the room. Some say spirits don't appear to scare us. They return to places where they were once needed, where routines mattered, where love was quiet and familiar. So ask yourself this: if this was only a camera flaw, why does the figure stand like someone who belongs there? Watching, waiting, making sure she's not alone. The passenger in the hearse. Old cemetery, Eastern Europe. Early 1900s. This is an old funeral carriage. Wooden wheels, glass panels, built to carry the dead, not the living. At first, it looks empty, abandoned, left behind when time moved on. But look through the glass. Inside the carriage, there is a figure standing upright, not lying down, not seated, standing, as if waiting. The shape is faint, but deliberate. A head, a body, facing forward, like someone prepared for a journey. No reflection explains it. No statue stands in that position, and no one was meant to be inside anymore. In the past, these carriages made one final trip, from home to church, from church to ground. Some believe the dead always know where they're going. Others believe some never accept the destination. So ask yourself this: if the journey ended over a century ago, why does it look like one passenger never got out and is still waiting for the wheels to turn again? The driver who didn't pull over. Rural road, United States, 1940s. It looks like a simple roadside photo. An old delivery car. Dust on the paint. A name written on the door. Nothing unusual. Until you look through the window. There is a face in the driver's seat. Not reflected from outside. Not blurred like motion. Clear enough to recognize a person who should not be there. The car is parked, the engine is off, and no one else is standing nearby. Back then, long drives were dangerous. Accidents happened on empty roads, far from help. Some drivers never made it home, but their vehicles were found days later, untouched. So ask yourself this: if the road is empty and the car isn't moving, why does it look like someone is still sitting behind the wheel, watching the road, waiting to continue a trip that never ended? The face in the pillar. Underground tunnel, unknown location, late 20th century. At first, this looks like a maintenance tunnel. Pipes, metal supports, dust and decay holding the ceiling in place. Nothing here feels human. But look at the pillar on the right. Just there, a face appears, not painted, not carved. Faint but precise. Eyes, a nose, a mouth staring straight ahead. The pillar wasn't meant to be seen. It was meant to hold weight, to stay hidden in the dark. Places like this were built by workers no one remembers. Men who spent years underground, holding entire structures above them, then disappearing from record. Some say walls remember pressure. Others say they remember people. So ask yourself this: if this is only corrosion and dirt, why does the face look like it's still awake, still watching, as if it never made it back to the surface? The face that didn't belong. Rural America, 1940s. At first, this is just a casual photo. Two young men standing outside, work clothes. A quiet afternoon on the farm. Nothing seems unusual. But look at the man on the right. Look at his shirt. There is another face pressed into the fabric. Not a stain, not a shadow. A face with eyes, a nose, a mouth, positioned exactly where a chest should be empty. The men aren't reacting. They're standing naturally, unaware of anything strange. Photos like this were taken on cheap film by ordinary people during a time when lives were fragile and records were incomplete. Friends were lost to accidents, illness, and war. Sometimes without photographs, sometimes without graves. So here's the question: is this just a flaw in the film? Or the trace of someone who stood close to him once and refused to be left out of the picture? Because some memories don't fade. They find a way to stay visible. The one who wasn't standing there. Family gathering, United States. Late 1970s. It looks like a normal family photo. 4 people standing together outside. A grandmother in the center. Sons gathered close, proud and calm. Nothing feels strange at first. But look again. Between them, there is a faint figure overlapping their bodies. Not standing fully in front, not behind either. As if someone was meant to be there, but arrived too late. No one is reacting. No one makes space. Yet the shape has shoulders, a head, a posture that feels familiar. Old family photos often outlive the people in them. Some pass quietly. Some are never photographed again. So ask yourself this: if this is just a flaw in the film, why does it look like someone tried to join the family? One last time before being forgotten. Some photos don't reveal everything at once. They wait for someone to look closer. So before you scroll away, go back, pause the image, and look again. Do you see what I see? Or do you see something different? Leave a comment and tell me where you noticed it. And if you've ever captured something unexplained in a photo yourself, share this video with someone who might understand. Because some memories don't fade. They stay until someone finally notices.